Hi guys, welcome or welcome back. Today is the next video in my While I Was Out playlist. This is, I believe, video number 13. I have the playlist linked below in the description box if you want to see lots and lots more eyeshadow looks, because this series is talking about eyeshadow looks that I've done off camera, but I still want to share them with you and tell you what I used and what my thoughts were in general about the look. Every video in this series has at least 8 eyeshadow looks featured, sometimes up to 11 or 12. Today we're going to talk about 9. If you want to know about today's eyeshadow look, I'm not going to talk about it in today's video because I have a whole backlog of looks that I want to discuss and clear them out of my phone. So today's look will be covered in the next While I Was Out. It is pretty old. I did this eyeshadow look at about 6:30 this morning, and it's currently almost 10 p.m. I refreshed my lips basically and just dabbed a little more of the shimmer on where it had already been, but yeah, it's it's there. But if you want to know what I used, you'll have to wait till the next While I Was Out. So today I'm going to be showing you 9 new looks, and I will be numbering them so that we can reference them in the comments if you want to tell me what your favorites are. I'm not sure which one. I have a couple that I really liked, and I would love to know which ones you liked as well. So be sure to leave a comment and let me know which looks are your favorites. Also, a lot of these looks feature the Lure palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. I have a little palette pull-in project where I'm working through these shades consecutively, so I did a good job this round remembering to use my palette pull-in, so several of the looks today will be featuring that. But let's start with look number 1. For this look, I used Sashimi City from Kaleidos. I did use Lure for my palette pull-in. In my waterline, I'm wearing the color Fade Away from ColourPop. It's sort of a vintage gold. I used the Festival palette from Juvia's Place for blush, and then on my lips, I'm wearing the NYX Butter Gloss Bit of Honey, but it was a little bit too cool tone, so I warmed it up a little bit with the glowing lip from ColourPop in the shade Desert Aura. I actually wanted to do kind of a peach look to match my earrings, but my palette pull-in for this day was an aqua shimmer, so I also brought in kind of a tealy aqua sort of matte to tie them together. Later in the day, I decided that the inner corner was just a little bit too jarring, so I ended up, after this video was taken, taking a little bit of a warmer green and tapping it right on top of that inner corner matte just to make it match my shirt a little bit better. I did like it better after I did that, but I didn't dislike this. I just felt that the colors were a tiny bit too disjointed the longer I wore it. On the whole, I felt that this eye look was close enough of a match to my shirt that it worked, but also far enough away that if it was too different, it wasn't too jarring either. This look was pretty intense, but I actually really enjoyed the colors together, and I loved the Kaleidos shimmer. It was so beautiful. Overall, I did like the look. I'm just glad that I tweaked it a bit after the fact. For look number 2 here, I used the Desert Monsoon palette from What's Up Beauty. I've got black in my waterline, and on my lips I'm wearing the ColourPop lip oil in the shade Paper Pansy, and then for our highlighter I've got the Frosting highlighter palette from Cosmic Beauty or Cosmic Brushes. I think this was my first time with this palette. I've done multiple looks since, but this video specifically got buried and I just want to get it cleared out of my phone. This I think was my first look with the palette. I played with the dark shimmers because my only previous experience with What's Up Beauty was the Geodes palette, which has very much lighter and also more neutral leaning, like grounded undertones in their shimmers, and so I specifically wanted to see how What's Up Beauty did with like the blue and purple kinds of tones. I have a note here. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. My note says, "No trouble, matte shim blend with depth." I have no idea what I meant by that. My note is cryptic even to me. Like I said, it's been a while since I took notes on these looks, so I gotta get them out of my phone. Anyway, this palette is really versatile. I do like it. I have used it multiple times since then. I have a What's Up Beauty playlist, which is on my channel. Just search for it if you want to see, because I do now own all 3 of their palettes. And my first one was Geodes. This is my second one, and I think it's nice. I mean, the palette is versatile. It does have a good range of depth between mattes to shimmers. Maybe that's what I was meaning by my weird cryptic comment. I do enjoy the range of matte colors within this palette, and it's just really easy to build a solid and varied crease. For me, the mattes are the very foundation, the basis of the look. They are the bedrock, and the shimmers are icing on top. And this palette gave me a good variety of mattes to start with, and then pretty shimmers to build on top. Here now, look number 3, I used the Hey Reindeer palette from Udensai. I do have my palette pull-in, the Lure palette. I have the Juvia's Place Festival palette as blush. And then in my waterline, I have Toucan Do It from ColourPop and their glowing lip, no, their lip oil in the shade Hot Spark. This was my first time using the Hey Reindeer palette. This was a trade that I had done with a subscriber. I sent her the Paletopoly from Ace Beauté. She sent me Hey Reindeer and Subculture. So this was my first time playing with Hey Reindeer, and I love Urunzai generally, so I was curious to see how this one would work. I know that the 2023 Christmas palettes, Hey Reindeer and Snow Dream, were not as well reviewed pretty much across the board as Merry Christmas and Christmas Eve, which I also own. So I was really curious to see how this palette worked, given a lot of the videos that I had seen people's impressions. My subscriber loves this one. She had just found one for a good price off secondhand, and that's why she had a second one. I wanted a yellow look on this day, but there wasn't a lighter yellow matte in the Hey Reindeer palette, so I used Festival for the light yellow matte to just blend out the more orangey tones which Hey Reindeer offers. My palette pull-in for this day was a pink shimmer, so I put it on my inner third of the lower lash line, but then the iridescent pink that you see in the inner corner, that's from Hey Reindeer. So far I've had no quality issues with this palette the times that I've used it. I think it's cute. It's not my most favorite color story, and you will see this palette come back later in today's video, but I haven't had any issues yet with the actual formula. Now for look number 4, I used the Bless palette from Sydney Grace. This is their collaboration with Glitzy Fritzy. I put a deep purple in my waterline. I'm pretty sure it was the shade Champs from ColourPop. On my cheeks I'm wearing the Festival palette again, and on my lips I've got the ColourPop lip oil in the shade Paper Pansy. I thought that this look was pretty, if not super unique. The palette performed beautifully, honestly. I really want to use the blue shimmer in this palette. I think I just put a little whisper of that in this look, but I need to use it more extensively. And I loved the bright inner corner matte. It's just shouting, hey guys, I'm awake. So striking, so eye-opening. It's a great technique to just open the face and brighten the parts of us that might be looking more tired because of natural shadowing, you know, bone structure and everything. A bright inner corner matte is a beautiful touch, and Sydney Grace has fantastic light mattes. I am unsurprised, per usual, by the wonderful quality of Sydney Grace shadows, especially in their mattes, and this look was very, very easy to achieve. Here now, look number 5, I've got the Tropical Nights palette from It's Belle Cosmetics. In my waterline I have an orange from Urunzai, and then I'm wearing Mango Lassie on my lips. That is the NYX This Is Milky gloss. I have a couple videos on my channel using this palette. It's very nice. It's got nice sparkle. It's a pretty color story. This is a palette in collaboration with Brie from Brie C Beauty. She's here on YouTube. She also has Brie C Lifestyle on Instagram, and she has her makeup profile over on Instagram as well. It was her collaboration with the brand, and they were kind enough to send it to me in PR. So I do have some videos on my channel using this. The inner corner here was really bright. It popped so nicely. Again, I just love a bright inner corner. Sometimes if I'm not wearing any makeup at all, I'll just take like a white or very, very light toned Sydney Grace matte or shimmer, and I'll just put up my finger and go like that. And that's it for the day. It wakes me up. It's so lovely. Now this shimmer formula is much more oily and emollient than most of what I've got, but I have not noticed significant creasing with it. I do get a little bit of creasing. My eyes are slightly hooded and a little bit oily to start with, but I've had some formulas that crease way worse than what I've gotten so far from It's Belle. By the way, It's Belle Cosmetics has just very recently, in the last week or two, announced that they are temporarily shut down. The owner had some personal things going on. It was a difficult year for her, so she has paused her business in every way. She's not taking new orders or anything. So if you want any updates on them, just keep an eye on their Instagram. I think that she would like to come back at some point, but she's also just taken some time for her mental health. Here now is look number 6. This was using the Norns palette from Urunzai. I put white in my waterline, and I've got the frosting highlighter from Cosmic Beauty. I was so happy with this look. Let me just tell you, I did it early in the morning. It wasn't even light outside. I applied this eyeshadow in the terrible, dingy yellow lighting of my kitchen. Most of the time I was like, oh, I hope this is working. I can't really see. It was just dipping into the pan and hoping to match the depth. That was the extent of what I could really see. But when I took a shimmer from the Norns palette and spread it over my lid, even in my terrible pre-sunrise yellow lighting, it was so sparkly. And I just knew I'm gonna love this. I just knew that it would be so twinkly. This palette is several years old. This was part of my very first order with Urunzai. They have since reformulated the palette and presumably made it better, made it match all of the current packaging and pan shapes. But This one still works beautifully. And I was just so stinking happy with this look. I got excited about it as I was doing it that morning, and then every time I used the bathroom and I saw this look in the mirror, I was happy again. It didn't crease after over a dozen hours on my lids. It stayed pretty all day long. This was kind of a turning point moment for me because this made me think really hard about keeping palettes in my collection which don't give me that reaction. And I believe I mentioned this in a video that was published recently. I had been fighting with a couple other brands, and I was telling myself, why am I fighting? What's the point of me fighting with these brands, trying to love something that I don't love? When I have things that I do love, I should just use more of this, right? Bring more of this into my world and not use my energy working with a formula that doesn't bring me absolute delight. So that might be a to be continued topic. I'm still thinking over things, but for now, yeah, that one really made me happy. In look number 6, I used the Lamora Nude palette, which I've purchased off Amazon. It's a dupe for the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude. Again, I remembered my palette pull-in. In my waterline, I've got the shade Icebreaker from ColourPop, their lip oil in the shade Hay, and the Frosting Highlighter palette again from Cosmic Beauty. This look, as expected, was quite neutral and soft, except for the palette pull-in, which you can see on the inner lower lash line area. I really liked the pop that brought, because it kind of made the look a bit more interesting, a bit more exciting, and still quite bright and dynamic, and yet, for the most part, it was a pretty neutral look. I really did enjoy this a lot because it was so easy and low-key and safe, and then this little pop of hello, not quite so safe, but definitely fun. Overall, I'm quite happy with this palette. It seems to be a great dupe for the I Need a Nude, except way more affordable, like $12 affordable. I have had no problems with any of the formulas. The mattes are beautiful. They're very easy to work with. They're easy to build as well, or you could stay softer if you wanted to. And the shimmers are quite bright and impactful. Like, I think it's fine. I like it a lot. I'm happy I got it. It's a very user-friendly palette. Did I say that was look number 7? I might have had that wrong, but that was look number 7. Now we're on to look number 8. I used the ABH Subculture palette, put white in my waterline, and the Positano Sunrise from Nomad Cosmetics as a highlighter. On my lips, I've got a lip liner from Italia Deluxe, 1062 Auburn, and the ColourPop lip oil in the shade Hot Spark, which is a soft, pretty transparent orange. This was my first time using the Subculture palette, which was part of the trade along with Hey Reindeer, and I was incredibly impressed with the color payoff. Now, there was tons of kick up in the pans, but a subscriber had made mention to me in a comment on one of my previous videos. I don't remember which one, I'm sorry, but they were talking about the fact that Subculture is a pressed pigment palette, which is just loose powder, very firmly pressed. So you should expect there to be lots of kick up because it's not like a shadow or a different formulation, maybe mixed with other media. It's just powder that's really hard pressed, so when you disturb it, it's going to bring up a lot of extra. So bearing that in mind, you can't really fault the palette for having kick up because it's kind of what it does. You might want to just do your eyes and then do any face makeup after the fact. So the shimmers in this palette, they're nothing crazy remarkable. The white shimmer I found to be a total dud, and I don't know how old my Subculture palette is because again, I think she got it secondhand, she gave it to me. It might be several years old, especially because I don't think they make it anymore. But the gold shimmer that you see in most of the look performed beautifully. It was creamy and it was soft. I had no problems with it at all. I love the fall color story of this palette. I do think I want to pair it with some more interesting shimmers just because what it's offering is nothing, to my taste, super impactful, but it is pretty still. And for the last look in today's video, look number 9. Again, I used the Blessed palette from Sydney Grace. I have black in my waterline, and here I'm trying out the e.l.f. Glow Reviver lip oil in the shade Honey Talks. I was actually excited to play with this palette on this day. You might not be able to tell from the video because I didn't end up loving the look at the end. Somewhere through the process, I put the pink shimmer on my lid, and it's a very like bubblegum pink, very white based pink shimmer, and I just did not like the way it was looking. So I took the neutral duochrome in the palette and I added it on top, and that really changed the look completely for the better. I liked it much better after I did that. So what you see now was the improvement on the pink shimmer, but the pink shimmer is still a base underneath of the multi-chrome. Overall, I did like the final result. I wasn't in love with it, and I was feeling maybe slightly annoyed that my first, the look as a first attempt wasn't working and I had to make such a drastic change. It was an easy change, but it shifted the whole feeling of the look. So maybe that's why I'm not looking terribly happy in this video, but on the whole, I was much happier with the final result. I guess I just didn't prefer a baby pink that day. It just wasn't quite working for me. I'm still debating whether or not to keep this palette and also the Monsoon palette from What's Up Beauty. I have a whole video where I was comparing them side by side and realizing that they're very similar. Not the same, but very similar in color story. I've been playing with both of them a lot to figure out which one makes me happier, because I don't feel like I need to keep both, and I love the formula of both, but it's like, okay, you know, one brings warmer undertones, one brings cooler undertones, one brings slightly more sparkly shimmers, and the other one brings smoother shimmers and also a slightly larger color story. I'm still feeling that out, but here we are, and this is look number 9. Anyway, my microphone wasn't charged enough to do today's video. I think that's the reason that I have been having audio issues in a few of my videos. I think 2. I have been having a problem where my audio is lagging a second or 2 behind my mouth moving. It's really annoying. I think it happens when my microphone is not charged enough, because it only seems to happen when it's below like 50%. Anyway, I realized before today's video that it was low, so I went to charge it, and then it only rose a little bit before I was like, I need to film now or it's not gonna get done. Anyway, fortunately, my air conditioner stayed off the whole video, so hopefully you guys have been able to hear me okay. I appreciate your time so much. Thank you for being here. Remember to let me know in the comments below which of these looks 1 through 9 have been your very favorite. I know Norn's was the one that excited me the most, but I really liked a couple of the others too. I don't know, it can be hard to choose. And I just love this hobby so much. It is such a joy and a pleasure to be creative, to play with all these pretty things, and to use my face as a canvas. Be sure to check the description box for the While I Was Out playlist with the previous 12 videos in it. Again, each of them containing an average of 10 looks, so that's 120 looks if you're feeling bored. I hope that you have enjoyed this content and you will consider liking and subscribing before you go if you want to see more. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.